Welcome back to Critically Incorrect, your weekly gaming podcast where we go over all the newest gaming news and more. I'm your host online CHD or Brandon, here with Charlie and Justin today. If you both wanted to say hi.
Hello, I'm
Hello.
back.
Yeah, I know it's about a month, but Justin is finally back. He was finishing up some summer stuff. I don't know if you want to say anything about that, but yeah,
Um, yeah, sure. I mean, basically, I just had summer school the past month or two. Been a bit busy with that. I finally finished, so that's good. Yeah, it's good to be back doing the podcast.
yeah. So that's gonna be awesome. We'll be hearing about what he's been playing here in a moment, and yeah. Anyways, this week we have some cool stuff to talk about, a lot of cool gaming news to talk about, and we got a viewer question as well, so look forward to that at the very end of the episode. But yeah, with that being said, as I always start off these podcasts with, if you have any comment suggestions, anything of the sort, leave that, of course, in the comment section down below, or click the link to make your way to our Discord server. But yeah, with that being said, Justin, actually, it's been a month since we talked to you.
Yeah,
So if you want to give like a quick highlight of what you've been playing,
sure. It honestly
there you
hasn't
go.
been anything crazy. Like, I haven't played any, new single player games since Ratchet and Clank, which, yeah, it's not the best. Obviously, I enjoy single player games, but I don't know. I just feel like there hasn't really. I mean, there hasn't. First of all, there hasn't really been anything that's come out that's really appealed to me. And yeah, I just don't really have the the appeal to go back to old games. I don't really have anything there. So I've just primarily been playing multiplayer games with friends. The time that I've been playing over the past few weeks is mainly multiplayer games with friends. So um, honestly, the main thing's probably like Counter Strike Global Offensive. I've just been playing that probably like 1 or 2 games a day, and then some Fall Guys. The new season came out, so I've been playing that and trying to get the Ratchet skin, which I did, which was pretty cool. I finally got that like yesterday, so that was nice. Other than that, some Rocket League and a bit of Call of Duty here and there, but not too much of that to be honest. And yeah, other than that, some good old NHL. um, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Honestly, like yeah, as I said, I haven't played any single player games. Just haven't really found anything. Um, yeah, I guess I'm just waiting for. I guess the next one would be Kana, but that got delayed. I guess we're gonna talk about that too. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, I guess that's pretty.
nice. What about you, Charlie? I know you've been playing a new game as well.
Yeah, I've tried to play a decent chunk of stuff this week. Again, I've been pretty busy with work, so it does limit my time. But like out this week, we had Tribes of Midgard, which is on PS4, PS5, and PC. I picked that up the other day with a few mates. I think I've played about 3, maybe 4 hours. I'm just checking my Steam right now. Um, Let's have a look. Yeah, 3.5 hours. So I've played a decent chunk. From what I've played, it's pretty fun. It's not like the best thing out there, but it's certainly not bad. I don't know how long I'll play it for. It's probably one of those we'll play for a week or two and we'll get our money's worth and probably not really go back to it. But it's a fun little survival game. It does seem a little bit challenging because there was 4 of us playing. It is up to 10 players on a server. But it can get pretty challenging if you stay there longer and trying to find gear to fight the like bigger Jotuns, like the massive giants. It can get pretty tough, but it's been fun. I just kind of wish it was on Xbox as well and maybe a crossplay because I've got a few mates on there that really wanted to get it, but it's not even out on Xbox right now, so they couldn't even give it a go. But yeah, that one's pretty fun. I've been playing a bit of that. I also started up Max Payne 1, same with Brandon. It was really weird. I think it was like the anniversary, right? And I really like Max Payne 3, but I've never played 1 or 2, so they were like £3, I think, £3 on Steam the other day. So I just bought those and I've played about 3 hours or so of Max Payne. I've just finished the first act. I'm enjoying that quite a bit. But honestly, I'm just looking forward to getting through the first two so I can replay 3 because I love that game so much. So that one's
It's
been
really
pretty
good.
fun to. Yeah, three is probably one of my like favorite third person shooters. It's just so well done. Um, but yeah, like playing the first one for the first time is pretty cool. Just seeing where it all started because it is quite different to be honest. So it's quite nice. Um, Aside from that, it's kind of been the normal multiplayer stuff for me. So League, a bit of Apex here and there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really dived into. I wanted to play some more Eternal this week, but I just didn't get around to it. Just because it's one of those games, if I'm gonna sit down and play it, it has to be for a longer period of time. Like I can't just play it for a little bit, so I just didn't get around to it. But yeah, I think that's been about it for me this week.
Nice. Yeah. As Charlie mentioned, I also started Max Payne. I didn't even buy it because of the anniversary. I didn't even realize it was the anniversary. Like I was literally in a Discord and I bought Max Payne 3 and then they were like, "Oh, have you played 1 and 2?" And I was like, "No, I haven't. The Remedy ones." And they're like, "Go play them." So I was like, "Okay, sure." And yeah, I'm really liking 1 so far. I was streaming that. Yeah, surprised. Definitely has its issues, but it's like a really cool game. I like the atmosphere and tone of it. It almost feels like the Arkham games, kind of where it takes place like in one night. And it's just such a vibe. I like that game a lot. And I want to play that more into this next week. Besides that, same, multiplayer games as usual, but also I bought the Mass Effect trilogy, so I started that up last night. I actually played the first hour of it last night as male Shepard, and then everyone was telling me to switch to female Shepard, and I swapped and replayed the first, replayed the first hour, and then also got to the second hour today on stream as well, so really liking that so far. Mass Effect 1, it's really good so far. And yeah, I'll be playing those 2 games more into next week. And I think that's honestly been about it. Besides the, usual multiplayer games I play as well, I believe that should be it. And yeah. Anyways, out this week, as Charlie mentioned, Tribes of Midgard. So this is out on PS4, PS5, and PC. I believe it's like $20 here in the States, and then a bit more to how it scales, in other countries. So if you're into that, go check that out. And then, yeah, we'll get into the gaming news. So actually, something that just happened just today was the Annapurna Interactive Showcase. So that's the publisher for games like Solar Ash and Stray. They had kind of like a little showcase today. I unfortunately wasn't able to watch it because I was streaming at that same time. But they did give a few updates on here. So it looks like they showed off more of Neon White. Solar Ash is coming out on October 26th. They showed also more of Stray, which Stray still doesn't have a release date, right? It's still TDA.
Just
TBA.
2022.
2022, okay. And then Outer Wilds Echoes of the Eyes is coming out on September 28th. So a few updates over there. And yeah, pretty cool stuff. Did you guys have any thoughts on that? Anything you want to hit on?
I didn't watch the actual event live. I kind of skimmed through it and watched the stuff I wanted to. Honestly, the thing that was the most interesting to me there was Neon White. Just because the announcement looked cool already, because it's like a first-person shooter, like speedrunning game, but it's got like this weird card system. And then watching this, it's also like a weird dating sim, which is really odd. But it looks really cool. I think the dialogue's probably going to be quite funny because it's from Ben Esposito, who did Donut County, which I really liked. We didn't get a date on it. He just said winter, so I'm hoping it's as soon as possible, because that's probably like one of my most anticipated indie games now. Like, it looks really interesting, so I'm excited to play that one. Solar Ash looks pretty cool, but I still haven't played Hyper Light Drifter, so I should probably get around to that at some point. Yeah. And Stray looked interesting. It was the first kind of gameplay they'd shown. It looks pretty simple. It looks like it's going to be one of those very short, like, atmospheric games. So I don't know if it's something I'll pick up straight away, but it looks like it could be pretty good. And then like Outer Wilds is a game that I started multiple times, just never gotten into, but I really need to go back because I've heard so many good things. So having expansion's pretty cool for those.
They announced that today, right?
Game and stuff. Yeah, it's part of the showcase. Yeah,
that's cool. Justin, any thoughts?
I did not get a chance to get it after. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen it, so.
Yeah, glad to see nothing's changed.
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, Charlie, it actually might be best for you to introduce the next topic because you actually were able to pre-order one. So if you want to talk about the Playdate and what this whole device is and talk about what went down today, go ahead.
Yeah, so the pre-orders for this new sort of like handheld console called Playdate went up today. If you don't know what it is, it's kind of like this small Game Boy looking device. It's got really low specs. It's got a really like low resolution black and white screen. But the like key thing with it is that once you buy it, it comes with 24 games over the span of, I think it's a few months. So you get 2 games a week for 12 weeks. So yeah, 3 months. And that's like the first season, and then you'll be able to like buy future seasons where you get new games. it's all over Wi-Fi, so like on I assume like a Tuesday or something, you'll get a new game and you can start playing it. And that kind of thing. It just looked like a really cool little device. It's also got a weird crank on it, so some games use a crank as that mechanic. It's just a really like cute looking like handheld device. Pre-orders went up today. I managed to grab one. Like they were having some issues at first, where if you were outside of the states, it would say that it couldn't actually like deliver to where you are. So eventually they fixed that. I managed to grab one. The initial kind of pre-orders have gone now. They've said they're not going to like stop pre-orders, so they'll just keep going and like on back order. So all the stock from this year's now gone. I think they're like at spring, like summer 2022 at this point. But it's been pretty popular from what I've seen. They've gone through a lot of sales, so it's exciting to see like smaller devices like this doing well, because I always think there's room for like handheld devices, especially unique ones. Like all the games on it are specifically designed for Playdate. They won't be available on other platforms. So you're gonna get some weird, unique looking games that like take advantage of the cheaper hardware and stuff. So I'm excited to get my hands on it, because it just looks like a fun little device to play around with.
That's awesome. That's very cool. Anyways, we move on to our next story about Halo Infinite. So Halo Infinite's having currently a multiplayer test this weekend that select few have been invited to. I believe you have to like sign up for their program, and we're selecting a few at the moment for a test that's only going to last 2 days. Is there new gameplay that they released as well, Charlie?
Yeah, they did like a live stream last night, so there's like an hour total of like new footage and stuff.
Very cool.
It looks pretty promising. Annoyingly, I didn't get into the test. I did sign up way back when, but I didn't get invited to this one. But it's not too big a deal. This one's like not really a multiplayer test. It's you can play the game, but it's only against bots and stuff. So it's more just so people can get a feel for the weapons and kind of give feedback on the game early-ish on before they do more tests. But I imagine they're going to do one every like weekend or so just to get people in. But it looks promising. It's going to be free to play, so I think most of my mates that love Halo are not excited about this game at all, but because the multiplayer is free, they're going to give it a go. Just because, you know, what more have you got to lose than just, you know, downloading the game? If you don't like it, get rid of it. So I'm excited to give it a go. I don't know if I'm going to like it, but it looks interesting.
We still don't have a date for Halo Infinite, right?
Yeah.
How is that? How is that a thing? That's
I
crazy.
think, well, the last thing Phil Spencer said was like they were waiting on the other like big selling FPSs to get dates. Obviously, COD still hasn't got a date, so I think they're trying to avoid releasing it at the same time.
Gotcha.
So once COD has like solidified a date and stuff, they'll probably announce Halo.
Gotcha. I guess that's pretty smart. Yeah. Anyways, speaking of shooters, Back 4 Blood's open beta was detailed a bit earlier today, or just this, actually I think this week. So yeah, there was a closed alpha that Charlie and I played back in December, and this is going to be a lot more content than what was in that. I think me and you only had access to one map, right? And this one has 2 maps, 2 PvP maps as well. And then I believe there's an extra character you could play as, Mom, which is a character they announced like right after the beta, or right after the alpha. And then essentially the details are early access players get to start on the 5th, and then I believe shortly after it's going to be literally open playing for everyone. The cool thing about this beta is also cross-gen and cross-play, so it looks like it should be open to, you know, playing with your PC friends and your PlayStation friends. Hopefully that stuff all works, but something to look forward to. Anything I didn't hit on there, Charlie? I know there was also like a hub that's going to be a part of this beta as well.
Yeah, there's like a social hub type thing. But yeah, you hit most of the stuff. I'm really excited to dive back in. As far as I know, I'll be able to play from early access because the beta is already in my library because it's the same like launcher they had from the alpha. So I think everyone who got into that automatically gets early access. They have also said that if you watch an hour of Back 4 Blood on Twitch next week, you'll get access to the beta early as well. So it seems like it's early access in quotation marks. Like it's going to be very easy to get in early if you want to. So I'm excited to give it another go because I really enjoyed the alpha, but it did have some issues. But that was like 7 months ago at this point. So I'm excited to dive back in and see what they've added and what they've tweaked around with. And hopefully it's really good.
I just actually checked my Steam and it says Back for Blood beta, so I guess they did update that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Justin, are you planning on joining us for Back for Blood?
Yeah, I'm excited. How long is do you know how long it is, the beta? Like August starts
I think
August
it's to the
6th,
12th.
right?
To
Okay.
the 12th.
Yeah, that's actually good. That's
Because, yeah.
pretty solid. Good week of Back for Blood. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, as I said before, Back for Blood is like one of the games I'm, like pretty looking forward to this coming fall, just because me and my friends are always looking for, fun co-op games. I feel like there aren't too many new ones that come out. Like, at least right now, there's like some to come out, in the next, I don't know, what, like next year or so. But um, yeah, like we've had our eye out for Back for Blood for a while now. Yeah, we're gonna check out the beta, play more this when it comes out this fall. So yeah, yeah, I'll definitely play with you guys though next week.
Sweet.
Fun.
It's also nice that it's one of the betas that's like 2 months in advance. So like if we do find issues, they can hopefully fix this before launch. Unlike being a beta that's only like a month or like a week or two before launch. It's nice to see. So yeah, looking forward to that. Anyways, as Justin kind of hinted at earlier, Kenna was sadly delayed this week. So yeah, the new release date, which I believe was originally supposed to be in August, is now coming out September 21st. So yeah, a bit of a bummer, but ultimately they just need to polish the game a bit more. For me, it sucks because I'm gonna be like, I think moving out that exact like week area. So not sure what the situation will be when that game does drop for me, but obviously the team needs time, right? So give it to them. Hopefully it's good. Looking forward to this one. I know a lot of people have been looking forward to this and waiting patiently because, yeah, surprisingly, this was originally supposed to be a launch title. This and Deathloop are now finally coming out. Both of these have seen like quite a bit of a delay, 9 months. So cool to see that these are both finally coming out. I think actually Deathloop's like around the same exact time. It's like what, the 19th or something of September. So both
Something
of them are
like
coming
that,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool. What did you guys think about the delay? I mean, it's pretty generic, right?
Yeah, it's pretty standard.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I was looking forward to it coming out, kind of end of summer because we haven't really had like too many new games going in the summer. But at the end of the day, game got needs to get delayed. Well, hopefully, like it'll come out as a better product than that. I'm still looking forward to it. Just gotta wait an extra month now.
Yeah. Anyways, Charlie, if you want to introduce this other topic, since you probably know more than I do about the Avengers expansion.
Yeah, so there was some like smaller news about Avengers today. Basically just announcing the release date for the new Wakanda expansion. It is coming out in August. It's gonna come out on the 16th. So this will give you like all the new story stuff, and as well as obviously Black Panther and all that cool stuff. Hopefully it's good. The saddest part is I'll have to reinstall all like 90 gig of it on PS5, which is gonna suck. But I'm excited to give it a go. Like, I enjoyed Avengers campaign for what it was, so I always like to try out the story stuff. I haven't really done much of the endgame things, but I've dived back in for each bit of the story, so I'm definitely going to give that a go. Alongside this, they did also announce this weekend, so when you're watching this, it'll already have started, but they are doing a free weekend for the game, so I think you can play through most of the game during the free weekend. It is also on sale. It's actually pretty cheap. I think on PC it's like $18. On console it's like 28 or something. So it's not that bad for what it is. Honestly, if you just want a cool like single player game, I'd say it's probably worth it. The stuff like past the actual campaign isn't that amazing outside of the like story missions they've added and stuff. But if you want a cool like Marvel like single player game, it's actually pretty decent for that amount. So I'd actually recommend it. But especially with obviously the Black Panther stuff coming out soon, and they did tease in this that there is still going to be lots of new modes and stuff they're adding, so hopefully this will give them the boost they need to actually convince Square to maybe do some more with it, because I would like to see them continue working on Avengers. It's just it needs the funding, and I don't know if the sales have really covered them past this expansion coming out, to be honest with you. So I do hope it's going to get it, but we'll see.
Yeah. Justin, any thoughts on the Avengers? Did you play through the Avengers or no?
Nope, I only played the beta, and it convinced me not to get the games. Yeah, I don't know. I like every time I see that game on like Steam or something, it's on sale. So I'm just like, yeah, people. I don't know. Are people like buying this game still? I know they've been like adding expansions and everything, trying to keep the player base active, but yeah, it just really didn't appeal to me when I played the beta. So I never really gave it a chance.
think Avengers. I mentioned this like one other podcast, but I think Avengers is like the only game in like the last year I regret buying. Like that puts it harshly, but like I originally bought it and I was like, I think I bought it in like September, like around the time it came out for like a bit cheaper than what the full price was. And I was like, okay, well, the full version's coming out, like the next gen version's coming out soon, so I'll just wait. And then that got delayed, so I'm like, well, shit. And then once it eventually did come out, I don't know, it's like, I think it's like 90 gigs, right, Charlie, on PS5, and it's just like,
insane.
for the game that it is, it's not worth that much real estate on my console, and it's just, I haven't really gone back to it since. The opening mission was pretty cool with Kamala, and like the whole like Avengers camp or the Avengers Expo thing. But yeah, just need to go back to it, and hopefully it'll be worth it when I do go back to it. But yeah. Anyways, we also got the PS Plus games announced for August this week. Probably, I think a lot of people are in agreement that this month sucks. So yeah, Plants vs Zombies: Battle for Neighborville. That's I believe, is that the PS5 game or just the
they're all on PS4 this month, so
okay, so yeah, no PS5 game this month, so just all PS4. So Plants vs Zombies: Battle for Neighborville, Tennis World Tour 2, and Hunter's Arena Legends. You probably don't even know like one or two of those games. Yeah, that's kind of how bad this month is. Usually I'm always kind of like, give Sony slack, but this month it's just like, okay, yeah, this is clearly a miss month. I think Plants vs Zombies could be cool. I believe I've heard good things about that game. But besides that, I couldn't care less for Tennis World Tour 2 or Hunter's Arena Legends. But yeah, do you guys have any other thoughts you want to give on this?
I already own Battle for Neighborville, because believe it or not, I really liked Garden Warfare, like the original Garden Warfare game. I absolutely adored back on 360. I played it to death, basically. I never got into the second one, and then when they announced Battle for Neighborville, I got really hyped about it and bought it during that weird. They did like a weird early access launch thing.
Oh yeah, I
where you
remember
could
that.
buy it digitally for like $10 off or whatever. And I was like super hyped about it, and I played it for like 2 days and got bored. So I just never went back to it. It's all right, but yeah, I don't know. The game just they added so much stuff to it past that original game. It put me off. And the tennis thing, like I don't know, that's a miss for me. And then Hunter's Arena, that's like the one they showed off at the State of Play last, and it looked pretty average. But that's the like PS5 game, but it is also on PS4 as well. So
Gotcha.
there's no exclusive this month, but it's the new release that you're gonna be getting.
What about you, Justin? Any of these catch your eye?
Oh yeah, Tennis World too.
Tennis
Oh,
World
yeah.
Tour, surely,
Big tennis
right?
guys.
Nice,
Um,
nice.
Nah, I don't know. Not really, to be honest. I mean, I've never heard of Hunter's Arena, so. Tennis World 2, yeah. I only play one sports game.
NHL.
Plants vs Zombies, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I only played the OG one, like, back in the days. For a long time. I don't even think it's the 360 one. It's like the fucking one on computer.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like the sports games I played. I think I've only played Madden and I
Dude,
played NHL
What
and
about that
NBA.
NHL game we recorded?
Oh
Gaming
yeah,
at
back
its core,
when
NHL,
Gaming at its
Justin
core.
versus Brandon.
That video still exists. I don't know what we were thinking, but yeah.
Dude, that was like NHL 15 in 2018. No, or something like
NBA
that.
was pretty fun. I remember when they gave away 2K16. I played that for a good bit with my friends. That was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of like a rare opportunity. I did that. Yeah. Any closing thoughts before we move on? Guess
It
not.
was a
Nope.
trash month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. Anyways, Sony has finally given us some figures on how the PS5 is doing, and currently it's just passed the 10 million unit milestone. So, yeah, that's quite impressive. We're already into double digits, well, double digits in terms of, the millions, right? Pretty impressive stuff. I believe they also announced that Death Stranding has sold 5 million, which is decently well for an exclusive. And Miles Morales, obviously being the Spider-Man IP that it is, 6.5 million. It's a very strong showing for them. Yeah, ultimately 10 million is really strong. Like, it's at a point where it's like, how we always talk about how, why Sony continues to drop exclusives on the PS4, and it's because of the player base there. But PS5, there could be a case to be made that already there is quite an opportunity there.
Couldn't it be even higher if like people could actually get their hands on it? Like, there's still
That's true.
so many people that are looking for PS5s they can't find it.
Exactly. Imagine if in an ideal world where we didn't have the chip shortage and we didn't have, well, I guess scalpers does. Well, scalpers are buying it, so I guess they technically count. But yeah, with the chip shortage, who knows what these numbers could be? It could possibly even be like 12, 13, 14, 15 up there. Like I swear, I know like a ton of people that still want to get a PS5
Yeah.
but just can't find one.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like it could be double this. I don't know. There's a lot of people I know that still want a PS5.
At least here
It's
in
crazy.
Canada, at least where I live, like I know you can't just walk into a store. Like you can't walk into a Walmart or like or like a Best Buy and just get a PS5.
I remember as a
Yeah,
kid,
man.
it used to be bad with like the Xbox 360 and the Wii, but this is like on a scale that we haven't seen. Like it's literally like you can't go to the store and get them. It's like you gotta be like on the dot when the online web store lists up. My recommendation for this has always been the same. I say like what I did is I followed Wario64 on Twitter and just had push notification on. So that whole day when all the
That's only
pre-orders
for
were,
the US though, really.
yeah, I guess
That
so.
wouldn't
So
work
any
yeah.
any people try to find
Well,
accounts or
Digital
websites
Foundry
that,
deals is pretty good if
yeah.
you want like UK and Europe stuff. They're really good because they're really like quick to the
Point
mark with
is,
everything.
I don't
push
have any. I don't have any
notifications.
link for Canada. Sorry.
Push notification push notifications help. That's ultimately my recommendation. Because I remember that whole day when the pre-orders run up, like everyone was like on their computers all day, and I was just doing my own thing. And then eventually, like later that night when they went up, I got obviously sent the notification to my phone and was able to do it right there. So that's always my recommendation to people. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Hopefully the situation clears up. Honestly, it could get to a point where we still have this issue in like 2022. Wasn't that like the forecast or something like that? Well, there will still be.
I think
in
the
this.
forecast is to 2023. So
That's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like a global
what,
thing. I know the chip shortage isn't just affecting consoles. It's like over a lot of tech products. But yeah.
when it comes to sales and stuff, they did also have figures for Returnal and Ratchet and Clank as well.
Give 'em.
It kind of sucks. Their attach rates are really low, which is a real shame. Ratchet is, I think, just sold 1.1 million copies.
was
So
like
that's
500K.
pretty low. And then Returnals just exceeded 560,000. So Returnal's not doing too hot. And I think MLB is at 2 million sales, but I would imagine that includes Xbox, so that's not just PlayStation. But yeah, the attach rate's not that great for Ratchet. Ratchet especially because it's a
It's a
big
triple
name
A.
and it's done really popular, like done really well in general, like review wise. So you'd imagine lots of people are wanting to pick it up. But I can't help but think that it's that price is just scaring people off from buying it straight away.
Is it is
But it'll
still
be
a-
interesting
it
to
is
see
still
what
a
those.
linear game that you beat very short. You beat it
Yeah.
within I don't remember exactly how many hours, but I want to say I beat it in like 9. So yeah. and
I
then,
wonder
I think it
how.
was
Do we know
11 for
what the
me.
past Ratchet and Clank did? I know like the 2016 at least did a few million though. So that does suck.
But the thing is, that came out a few years into a life cycle, so
and
it's
that
kind of
came- and
hard
it
to
was
like.
really and it was a lot cheaper.
It was
too.
$40
Yeah,
too. It was. I
yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
I think I even made a video at that point where I said like that was a good move by them because it was. I think Knack 2 and Ratchet and Clank were both $40 games.
Yeah.
I honestly like really think that not every game needs to have the same price. Like, I think that would have been like a smart move for this game. I mean, this game was a lot more ambitious than 2016 in my personal opinion. So I could see it being bigger, to like a $60 price tag. But yeah, I definitely think it's the price tag. I think like in general, like no one's buying these set like. Not no one, but like no one unless they know for sure they want the game is buying like a $70 game. At least that I know
Yeah.
personally.
I mean,
like I've
the
had
thing
friends
is-
that would normally buy like $60 games if it looked interesting to them, but like $70 is like a big gamble, and especially if like you're in Europe where like the conversion rate's screwing you even more. It's just hard to get that sale.
Thing is as well, like resale values on these games drop so quickly because like people are like just not buying them at the price they are. Like where I work, obviously we buy stuff in secondhand and then we sell it. And like Ratchet, I think we currently sell for like £55. So that's more than a PS4 resale game was, but that's £15 less than it being brand new. And it's only been out for what, like just over a month. I think Demon Souls we sell for like 45. So the actual like value of those games dropped pretty quick after launch for every single one of them. It's just because people just don't want to buy it at that price, so they end up having to drop it. So it'll be interesting to see how how the sales are doing once PS5's in more hands and games like God of War and stuff are out, because obviously the sales for those are going to be really good because they're on PS4 as well. But like, how well are those new IPs going to do when eventually they're not on PS4 and they're £70? Like, I don't know. Like, Returnal is clearly a good example of a new IP like doing well, but like in the grand scheme of things, pretty weak. So yeah, I don't know.
It's hard because, like, obviously we're in the bubble where there's 10 million consoles compared to, like, Sony's obviously 100 million plus that they have for PS4. But yeah, I think Returnal's not bad given that it's $70 and it is a new IP. But Ratchet, definitely, I feel like it's probably under for sure. They didn't give a number for Demon Souls, huh?
No, I don't think so.
I wonder what that means. Who knows? Yeah, sad to see. Ultimately, I mean, like PS5 is obviously selling a lot, but like the conversion rates for some of these games are kind of odd. Like, in my opinion, it's like, what are you playing if you're not buying Returnal or Ratchet? I mean, like, why are you out here getting a PS5 when the differences aren't even that big? Like, in the grand scheme of things, compared to what normally generation leaps are. I swear PS5 is almost like a hype thing at this point, where people like just know it's like hard to get and it's the new PlayStation, and like many people assume there's like exclusive games for it, like the new Miles Morales game, but a lot of people don't realize that those games are also on PS4. It's an interesting situation, but yeah, who knows what these guys are playing besides Miles? Yeah, interesting. Anyways, news topic regarding around Final Fantasy 16 came out, and it was kind of interesting. Essentially, the voice acting for that game was essentially recorded in British English before any other languages. So I guess that's kind of, I think, different compared to other Final Fantasies before in the past, because normally it's Japanese first, right? Usually.
Yeah, it's basically always Japanese first, and then they'll do like American and stuff.
That's very interesting.
I think it's more with this one, the reason they've done that is because of the setting. It is more like a medieval kind of Game of Thrones style kind of thing, where I imagine a lot of the cast is meant to be British, so they wanted to have British voices. Whether they're any good is another thing, because typically the Western voices in Final Fantasy games are not that strong, so I'm interested to see how this one turns out, especially being British myself. You know, they gotta represent the voices right. I hope it's not people trying to do really shit accents, because that'll piss me off and I'll end up playing it in Japanese anyway. But yeah, I think this is probably the first time in the series history that they've done like a Western VO first, because it is typically Japanese they do first.
Yeah, that's wild. That's interesting. I wonder if they're trying to market it more towards the West, but yeah, I think it's just like what you said, where the setting fits it more. So rather do like the local to what your like setting is going to be before you go to Japanese and all that. It's interesting. Yeah, this is just making me want to see Final Fantasy 16. So hopefully this, upcoming Sony event, whenever it decides to drop, has it and it's good. Any thoughts on this, Justin? I know you're not the biggest Final Fantasy fan.
No, I'm sorry. I really don't have.
Gotta open up your circle for your games.
Yeah. Yes.
You haven't played Remake, huh? 7 Remake?
No, I have not.
I think that's a great game.
We do have it. I have it from the PlayStation Plus. I don't know, what was it? It was free, right? I added it to my collection, so.
You just don't get the free upgrade.
True. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I might
definitely recommend it.
I tried that this month. Now that I've got some time on my hands.
One of my game of the years of last year, like top 3, I'd say.
I still need to play Intergrade. I haven't played it yet.
I haven't played Intergrade either. Ratchet and Clank took up all my time, and I just looked the other way. Yeah, I gotta go back to it. Anyways, our final news story is actually a really exciting one, because obviously these things are kind of rare and don't happen often. A new AAA studio was announced this week and is starting up. So it's called That's No Moon, and essentially their goal is on working on kind of like the single player narrative, AAA games that we're accustomed to, like God of War, Last of Us. I'll probably link their website in the comments or in the description below. A lot of veterans are a part of the studio, so like they have developers from Naughty Dog that worked on like The Last of Us, Uncharted. They had developers that worked on Destiny, Call of Duty. Like, it's a big AAA studio that's going to be in LA, I believe. And essentially the co-founders are Taylor Karasi, or Taylor Kurosaki. He, I believe, was on Naughty Dog and he worked at Infinity Ward. And then there's Tina Kowalski as well, Michael Mumbar, I'm so bad at pronouncing names, and Nick Konolios. Yeah.
Nice.
So there we go. That was definitely not a butcher. But yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Obviously, they're like in the very early days. I read through their blog post. They have like 100 million in terms of funding from the Crossfire franchised publisher Smilegate. And then I believe they're currently only 40 employees big so far, but they're looking to expand 100 million by 2022. So definitely going to be a big studio here soon. I know Scott Lowe, who was kind of like the social media manager for Naughty Dog, he recently left and he announced that he joined That's No Moon. So quite a lot of cool talent there, and people from the gaming industry. So always really cool whenever a new studio is announced, obviously, because it just kind of expands the industry in a way. So what'd you guys think about this?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love my single player games. I saw like it popped up on my Twitter line as basically like independent AAA studio focusing on single player like linear story driven experiences, and I'm like, yep, that's right up my alley. So I'll definitely keep an eye out on those guys. I know they're still like obviously really early. They're still like obviously like hiring people still. So I'm not gonna expect to hear anything for a while, but yeah, I'm excited. Um, and the fact that they have like $100 million in funding is crazy to me, because it's like as you said, it's not like that's it. Just seems so out of the blue where it's like like a independent AAA developer or development team forms and they're like already backed by like $100 million in funding. That's crazy.
That is crazy. Guess they must have came up with something good, some sort of good pitch or some.
Well, I mean, the thing is, when you've got a studio made up of such big talent, I imagine convincing someone to give you like that funding is not that difficult when you have such high pedigree of developers, Did they say where they actually got that funding from, though?
Smilegate, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I get it if you have like reputable, I guess like talent behind it. Said like there are all these developers that worked on high class franchises in the past, like Last of Us, Call of Duty, or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I still think that's really cool that they're instantly funded 100 million, because that's like that's your big AAA like cinematic blockbuster type funding right there. Yeah.
Pretty much. Just exciting. So hopefully we get a really cool new game out of the studio, and it's always what you want. So definitely really cool stuff there. Just makes the industry even bigger. Very cool stuff. And yeah, any concluding thoughts before we get into our viewer question this week?
I was just gonna say, like, I agree with Justin. Like, it's a really cool announcement. It's always cool to see more studios that are focusing on single player stuff, especially when you've got bigger publishers moving away from that now. And the talent from all over the industry is always great to see. It's one of those that like it's so early days. It'll be a while before we hear anything, but I imagine they're the kind of studio that are just going to show up with some random thing at the Game Awards in a year or two, and it'll look really cool and get everyone hyped. So I'm excited to see what it is eventually. But yeah, it's a really cool announcement anyway.
Definitely. Anyways, we got a cool viewer question from Cazz this week, so thank you for that. He asked, one aspect of video game reviews from major websites has always bothered me is how high review scores always are. It's always bizarre to me that a game receiving around a 75 on Metacritic is considered underwhelming or poor. As a bit of a film buff, I know that in the movie world at least, a 75 is pretty damn good. I just want to know if this is something that you guys have ever noticed, and do you find it strange that there just can't be a decent game or perfectly acceptable AAA games? It feels like everything's either great or trash fire in the public eye. So yeah, definitely a really cool question there. Justin, if you'd like to start us off.
Sure. Yeah, I can go first. I guess yeah, I've obviously noticed this. It's pretty evident. I guess nowadays when movies come out, you'll see like on Metacritic, 70 something. That's like always rated pretty pretty solid. And then in game standard, people are like, bro, that's ridiculous. This game deserves way higher. I think a lot of it just has to do with like I feel like the gaming community is a lot more toxic. Like IGN gives a game like a big AAA game that's anticipated by a lot of people. They give it like even like an 8 or something like that. Or like didn't they give like Uncharted 4 an 8 or something? or like a 9,
Yeah.
something like that. I don't remember, but yeah, you just see like all these fanboys going nuts and like bashing the reviewer and everything like that. And I think it's just something that's happened over time where um kind of became like, like the new standard where like all this bashing and like I don't know, like nowadays also like all these reviewers want to like just give like the best score possible, just so it's not like all super toxic or whatever. Um and yeah, I think like basically compared to films, you don't really see that as much. So um I don't know, like yeah, I'm trying to sorry, what's the next part? Do you find strange that it just can't be a decent and perfectly
Like the
acceptable
gap
game?
between like,
Yeah, like the range.
amazing and
Yeah. Um yeah, I don't know. It's just like the range, like if for like a 90 and like a 70 on like for games is like people would just be like, yeah, like a game that um gets 70 is absolute trash. So, it's stupid. At the end of the day, I don't take, view scores all too seriously. I'll actually like read into what they're saying. Um and from there gather conclusion for myself. I don't just look at the score or whatever. Yeah, in my opinion.
What about you, Charlie?
Yeah, I think for me it comes down to the main thing of kind of what Justin hit on, which was, the gaming like community can be very toxic. And I more just think it's the internet is way more prominent now than it was, say, 10 years ago. And just the prevalence of a lot more forums and public things like YouTube and Twitter allow people to just get their opinions out there way quicker now. And so that's why I mean, even just looking at the games that come out, if you look at the sort of double A space, there's a lot less of that now than there was during sort of the PS2 and PS3 era of games. There's a lot less sort of movie tie-ins and cheaper budget games that were just good. They weren't anything crazy, but they were fun. And you don't really get many of those anymore because you've either got the super low budget indie stuff that can either blow up or kind of sweep under the radar, or you've got the big AAA, big budget titles that everyone's hyping up. And yeah, it's one of those things where when a score doesn't do really well, it's because suddenly somebody will go, "Oh, how dare you give this game such a low or okay review score? It's the best thing. Like, what are you doing?" And there'll be some people that are just like, "Oh, it's not an 80. Like, it's not the same level as Last of Us or Ratchet and Clank or something. Like, how dare they? It must be trash." And I think it's also down to just reviewers in general. I think a lot of reviewers aren't very confident when it comes to review scores. I think that's for a whole host of reasons. Obviously, reviewers probably don't want to give lots of games low scores because then publishers probably don't want to give them as many codes. That's just how those things go. So if you score a game like, I don't know, a 30 or something, and you absolutely shit on it, but other people enjoy it, like, the publisher's probably not going to want to give you more stuff in the future. I mean, you see that with a lot of, of the smaller reviewers online. They end up losing support because they say something negative. I think Angry Joe's a really good example of that. Like, he's a very honest guy, but that backfires on him a lot because he's very honest with his opinion. And there's just not enough of that in the industry anymore. And I think that's a big reason why scores, when they're below, like an 80, people just consider that bad. It's just because there's not enough people that say that aren't honest. I think is the main thing. I don't think there's enough people that are honest when it comes to reviewing stuff, and just say it how it is. If a game's not that great or it's not the best thing in the world. But yeah, I don't know. It's weird. The movie space is very different, and it's filled with a lot of a different community. There is a bit of crossover there, especially when it comes to the more kind of mainstream movie stuff, whether it's Marvel or Disney, that kind of thing, just because those audiences are much more prevalent online. But when it comes to, the smaller indie movies and that kind of thing, you typically don't get that because those people aren't the ones that are always online complaining about stuff. But yeah, I went on a bit of a rant, but that is my that's my answer.
My thought on this is like, I'm definitely like, I definitely agree. Like, when I see a game that has like a 7 or a 7.5, like my brain automatically processes, okay, so it's nothing like good or great. It says, it's probably like below average. But I think a lot of that is because games nowadays are kind of reviewed really high. Nowadays, it's like almost every single game out there is at least above a 7. Like you hardly see game reviews like get below a 6 unless there's like something that's really bad or, you know, yeah, it's like for dramatic cases, right? It's almost like we're accustomed to like that. Those are the numbers you review games towards. It's either a 7, 8, 9, or 10, and you like rank it in there in between there. And because of that, obviously, our expectations are, oh, if it's 7, then it's like one of the lowest of the possible numbers you can give a game because like you just don't ever touch any of the other numbers. Like when do you ever see games get other numbers besides like dramatic cases? So yeah, it's an interesting. I don't know where the fault lies. I think Charlie kind of hit it right in the fact that there are probably reviewers that are scared, to give lower review scores because obviously this industry isn't exactly the biggest industry. It's quite small, and that can backfire you in terms of support and as well as like standing out, right? But at the same time, I think also probably the bigger issue is just gamers, right? Like people take things to heart so easily, and they don't see things clearly. So if they see something that's like an 8 on their favorite game, even though an 8 technically is like still great, that are like, oh, it's compared to most games, it's like most games get either like that are like on this cub or get like 8.5 or a 9 or above or something. It's all comparative, and it's a mess. That's why I kind of like to stray away from giving numbers, just because I'd rather get my thoughts out rather than like give a number that defines my whole entire review. Well, I think a lot of people just look for numbers nowadays. You see that whole craze of what's the Metacritic score when a game comes out, and as I've gotten older, I just don't really care for that stuff anymore. It's cool for like trying to predict that stuff, but like really it doesn't matter. It's all opinions at the end of the day, and the numbers don't mean anything. So yeah, it's a bit of a bummer because obviously that's just the ecosystem that we find in the gaming industry right now in terms of how they view high scores and all that, but. Yeah, try to read reviews. There are some publishers that have dropped, doing, number scores. So look into those ones. And yeah, it's definitely a bit of a bummer. And yeah, any closing thoughts before we end off this week's episode?
No, I think I kind of said all I wanted to say on that one.
Nice. Anyways, thanks, Cazz, for that question. Definitely a really cool topic to talk about. Yeah, anyone watching or listening, make sure to leave any, viewer questions that you have either in the comment section below this video, or we have our own dedicated channel for that in our Discord server. So yeah, thanks again for that. Thanks, Justin, for making it for this week's episode. Nice to have you on
It's a
and
guest
be able to talk to
appearance,
you. I know, it's almost like it's a guest appearance though.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, hopefully you'll make it for next week as well, and we'll have you for both of those.
Yeah.
But yeah. And yeah, thanks again, Charlie, for always being here. And then yeah, for anyone still watching, we'll see you next week for episode 37. And yeah, take care.
See ya.
See you later.